Hello students. Today I am going to teach you the topic cloud computing overview. Let us start with the topic cloud computing overview. In a modern computing with our laptop or desktop or even with tablet or smartphones, using the internet to access the data and details that we want, which are located or stored at remote places, or you can say personal computers, through the faces of applications like Facebook, which is a social media app, email, and YouTube. So this app brings the actual power of information that we need instantly with no time. Even if millions of users get connected in this manner from anywhere in the world, and these applications do serve what these users customer want. The phenomenon of supply of information or any other data and details to all the needy customers, and when it is asked, is conceptual understanding and working of what is known as a cloud computing. Let us review the scenario of computing prior to the announcement and availability of cloud computing. In this, the users who are in need of computing are expected to invest money on computing resources such as hardware, software, networking, and storage. This investment naturally cost a bulk currency to the users, as they have to buy these computing resources and keep these in their premises and maintain and make it operational. All these tasks would add a cost, means this becomes a costly, and this is a particularly true and huge expenditure to the enterprises that require enormous computing power and resources compared with classical academics and individual. On the other hand, it is easy and handy to get the required computing power and resources from some provider, I can say, or supplier, as and when it is needed, and pay only for that usage. This would cost only a reasonable investment or spending compared to the huge investment when buying the entire computing infrastructure. Now, this phenomenon can be viewed as a capital expenditure versus operational expenditure, as one can easily assess the huge lump sum required for capital expenditure, that is a whole investment and maintenance for computing infrastructure, and compare it with the moderate or smaller lump sum required for hiring or getting the computing infrastructure only to the of required time, and rest of the time free from that. Therefore, cloud computing is a mechanism of bringing, hiring, or getting the services of computing power or infrastructure to an organization or individual level to the extent required, and paying only for the consumed services. Now, one can compare this situation with the usage of electricity, that is its services, from its producer come distributor. If you take example in India, it is a state government owned electricity boards that gives electricity supply to all residents and organization, to houses or organizations. Here we do not generate electricity that is comparable with electricity production and related tasks. Rather, we use it only tune up our requirement in other premises such as for our lighting and usage of other electrical appliances and pay as per the electricity meter reading value. Therefore, cloud computing is needed in getting the services of computing resources. Thus, one can say as one line answer to need of cloud computing that it eliminates a large computing investment without compromising the use of computing at the user level at an operational cost. Cloud computing is a very economical and serve a lot of money. A blind benefit of this computing is that even if we lose our laptop or due to some crisis in our personal computer and the desktop system or it gets damaged, still our data and files will stay safe and secured as these are not in our local machine but remotely located at our provider space machine that is on a cloud base. Let's have look at the definition of the cloud computing. So here in 1961 John McCarthy defined computation may somebody be organized as a public utility. Now, if you come up with the definition of cloud computing, you can see that no longer the next big things, the current big thing. This began in 2007 that by IBM and Google with the help as a blue cloud. Now, name cloud inspired by the cloud symbol representing internet in a diagrams. Amazon popularized the idea of the cloud. So this is some history about the cloud computing. Now, if I question something like what is a cloud and what clouds have you used today that is yesterday. So simply you answer that in a general manner that cloud is a thing where we can keep our files and that we can access as a remotely. Now, if you go with the definition point of view about the cloud, cloud computing is a set of service oriented architectures which allow users to access a number of resources in a way that is elastic, cost efficient and on demand. Now, as we learn this definition, there is another definition by US National Institute of Standard and Technology, which is shortly called as a NIST. NIST defines cloud computing as cloud computing is a model for enabling ubiquitous, convenient, on-demand network access to a shared pool of configuration computing resources, example, networks, servers, storage, applications, and services that can be rapidly provisioned and released with minimal management effort or service provider interaction. This is a definition defined by the NIST, that is a US National Institute of Standard and Technology. Now, I'm talking about the cloud computing. See, everyone has an opinion on what to use a cloud for. So cloud is basically used as applications on the internet, that is in terms of the email, tax preparation application. Then we can say everybody can use cloud computing as a storage for business or personal data. Then cloud computing can be used for web services for photos, maps, GPS system. Then also it is used for rent a virtual server, load software on it, turn it on or off, clone it if sudden workload demand. Then also cloud computing is used for store secure data for unauthorized access, and it's true. Then use a platform including operating system, different kinds of backend like an Apache, MySQL, Python, PHP. These are a programming language. Now these are the usage of the cloud. Somebody is going to use for the storage purpose, somebody use for the application. Those are available on a cloud and they are going to use for their business kind of purpose. Accordingly, I can say there is a certain need of this cloud computing. Now what is that? The main reason for the need and use of cloud computing are convenience and reliability. So convenience and reliability is a main need and use of cloud computing. In the past, if we wanted to bring a file, we would have to save it to be a USB flash drive, that is a universal serial bus flash drive, external hard drive, or compact disc that you can call as a CD or new version as a DVD, and bring that device to a different place. Instead saving a file to the cloud, example use of cloud application like an Dropbox, Google, it ensures that we will be able to access it with any computer that has an internet connection. So while accessing the cloud-based application, internet connectivity is a must. Also, the cloud makes it much easier to share a file with a friends, making it with a possible to collaborate over the web, because as you get connected with the help of this internet. While using the cloud, losing our data or file is a much less likely. However, just like anything online, there is always a risk that someone may try to gain access to our personal data, and therefore it is important to choose an access control with a strong password and pay attention to any privacy settings for the cloud services that we are using. So everywhere you are going to access the cloud services or cloud application, authentication is very much important. So you need to secure all these things with your respective credentials in terms of user id and password, and do not share with anyone. The main advantages of with the help of this cloud computing is that the data which you are stored on a cloud you can access anytime from anywhere with the help of your credential. As we define the cloud computing, that cloud computing means storing and accessing data and program over the internet from a remote location or computer instead of our computer's hard drive. So this is called as a remote location and has several properties such as scalability and elasticity, which is significantly different from simple remote machine. Now, the cloud is a just metaphor for the internet. When we store data on or run a program from the local computer's hard drive, that is called local storage and computing. For it to be considered cloud computing, we need to access our data or programs over the internet. The end result is the same. However, with an online connection, cloud computing can be done anywhere, anytime, and by any devices. Now, you can say that cloud computing is one kind of service. So, in that service, you can see that the simplest thing that any computer does, it allow us to store and retrieve information. We can store our family photographs, our favorite songs, or even save movies on it, which is also the most basic service offered by the cloud computing. Let's look at the example of popular application called as a Flickr to illustrate the meaning of the Flickr. While Flickr started with an emphasis on sharing photos and images, it has emerged as a great place to store those images. In many ways, it is superior to storing the images on your computer. So, first, Flickr allows us to easily access our images no matter where we are or what type of devices we are using. While we might upload the photos of our vacation from our home computer. Secondly, Flickr lets us share the image. There is no need to burn them to the CD or write on the DVD, save them on a flash drive. We can just send someone our Flickr's address to share these photos or images. Thirdly, Flickr provides data security by uploading the images to the Flickr. We are providing ourselves with a data security by creating backups on a web. And while it is always best to keep a local copy either on a computer or CD or a flash drive. So this is in terms of one example of the Flickr where cloud computing act as a service has been proved. Now let's look at the characteristics of this cloud computing. Now in this cloud computing characteristics, following are the characteristics of the cloud computing. Now what are they? Described as on demanding, pay as you go, software as a service, utility computing. So here the number of services present in the cloud, that is based on pay as you go. What kind of different services you are going to use, for how much duration you need to pay, that much charges for that services. Then usually cost but cost effective. Then its emphasis is on availability, that is 24/7 availability of a data whenever you want to access your data from the cloud. Then its main support in terms of the virtualization. It's one of the best thing that where on a single computing resources you can use multiple things, that is in terms of the virtualization. Scalable, that is in terms of expand our current hardware. If we require additional hardware that you need to add in your machine configuration, so scalability is possible with the help of this cloud computing. Then elasticity, that is elastic, dynamically add hardware as a needed. Basically this is one of the best areas where nowadays cloud service providers are available in the market, and they are famous for scalability and elasticity. Then as a characteristics of a cloud computing, we can say it's distributed and highly parallel approach. Also replication, and replication is possible with the help of only cloud computing. Means you can create multiple copies of a data. If any one of the copies has been lost or server has been damaged, you can easily retrieve that copies of data from your replicated backup, which is already performed in the cloud computing, and that has been done with the help of different data center technologies. Also I can say that cloud computing is one of the best platform here in the world wide web, that is a www, can be considered as operating system for all our internet based applications. However, one has to understand that we will always need a local operating system in our computer to access web-based applications. Now, the basic meaning of the term platform is that it is support on which applications run or give results to the user. For example, Microsoft Windows is a platform, but a platform does not have to be an operating system. Java is a platform even though it is not an operating system. So through cloud computing, the web is becoming a platform with trends, that is application such as Office 2.0, more and more applications, that is cloud based application that were originally available on desktop computer are now being converted into web cloud application or web based cloud application. Another examples like word processors like MS Office suites or Google Docs are not available in the cloud as their desktop version. All these kinds of trends are providing applications via cloud are turning cloud computing into a platform or to act as a platform. So here the is a characteristics point of view, we clear the two things: cloud is computing is a service as well as cloud computing is a platform, and as every cloud service provider is giving the scalability and elasticity with the one of the tool is a virtualization. So this is all about the cloud computing introductions, where we dealt with definitions of the cloud computing. Next definition: cloud computing as a service, then cloud computing as a platform, then why we required or use of this cloud computing. So this is the overview of a cloud computing. Thank you.